Everyone, welcome to the reality show of 2021. So you've made it to the next level of Jumanji. Congratulations. Um, peace and blessings to everybody, and I hope that all is well. I think going into this year, beyond what 2020 was, a lot of people have, bad mouth 2020. And okay, was it the greatest year ever? Probably not. Was it as bad as everyone, feels that it was? Quite possibly not. And mind you, you're talking about somebody who, lost their mother, in the year. And while that was one of the worst things that I've ever had to personally experience, it's one of those things where, life is life. Stuff happens in life. And if it didn't happen, in 2020, it could have happened any other year. You know what I'm saying? So, I spent a good portion of today talking to someone about perception versus reality. And when people talk about having bad days and bad times, and, in regards to last year, talking about a horrible year, was it really what you say it is? Or did it just feel like it? Or did it seem like it? Or are you used to, making stuff like overgeneralized to make a point? Um, 2020, all things calculated together, yeah, it could have been way worse. Um, I had a chance to see most of the people in my family for another year. A lot of them still in good health and or had an event and recovered from it. Um, I think probably one of the greatest things that happened uh, last year was I had the ability to learn and learn how to communicate, learn how to love better, um, learn how to listen, learn how to communicate. And I feel like if we as a people in totality take the opportunities that we do have and capitalize on them, I think we'll be in a way better position. Um, but I'll talk about that like later on. Some of the things we need to focus on for this year is specifically on black men and black women, how we impact one another and what we need to like focus on. Um, and these are just my thoughts. I could be 100% right. I could be all the way wrong. Time will tell. It usually does. Um, for our women, I feel like we as black men, because we have a job to do, even if we're talking about black women. Um, I'm sorry, even in talking about black women. Let me, let me change that. Uh, we need to put more of an emphasis on our women's natural beauty. I feel like, again, could be wrong, doubt it, could be though. I feel like one of the biggest issues, if we're talking about like self esteem issues for women, if we're talking about what women feel they need to do, look like, or be in order to be pretty, accepted, desired, so on and so forth. I feel like a lot of that is, pushed on them by media, absolutely. But so much more of it is put into practice by black men. So if we are not valuing and bigging up our women in their natural states, their natural hair, natural body, so on and so forth. If we're not doing that, and then but in the next breath, we're clamoring over, women with lighter skin, longer, straighter hair, bigger booties and breasts, then that kind of goes without saying. Either they're going to generate a hate for us, they're going to change what they are naturally to make themselves into what they think we want, or both. And from what I can tell over the past, decade, it's been a little bit of both. And men have been complicit with it and haven't taken any accountability for it. So that's on us, man. We got a lot of people who be, talking pro-black stuff, but then when you see what's on their arm or what they have in their family, like they don't line up. Your wife looks like this, your mom and your grandmother look like this. So I say all that to say, let's make our actions match up with what we're talking about. One of the things that's really being lost is what does it mean to be a lady? Not a woman, not a female, but a lady. Like when they used to have the circus, they'd be like, welcome ladies and gentlemen. Like there's a distinction. A lady conducts herself in this manner. A woman is this. A female is this. Listen, I think people would be hard pressed to point out 10 ladies they know. As a 40-something-year-old man, I can't tell you how many times in the past 5 years I've used the term lady. Although it may be an antiquated term, it may be an antiquated term for antiquated behavior that I don't see. I mean, Felicia Rashad, maybe? I would struggle to find multiple ladies. Like who are people, women that we can point at and say that she conducts herself and carries herself as a lady. I don't know who we could do that with or to. If I did have a daughter, outside of her mother, could I point at somebody and say, this is how a lady conducts herself? I'm struggling. Again, that's something I'll talk about later. Black men, because we in no way are we off the hook. In fact, we're probably the first and primary item on the hook. We have to, for ourselves, identify and create the definition of what it is to be a man. Not a male, a man. We're talking about a man and what does all of that constitute, which absolutely has to be more than just having a penis, being a male, and having, multiple women. Like, our manhood has to be more than that. And I can tell that we haven't done our job in regards to setting that definition and that standard, and then disseminating the information for what that standard is and demonstrating what that standard is to our younger generations. And the reason why I know we haven't done it is because when I look at our younger generations and I see what they're doing that from a lack of an example that they didn't have. Yeah, you know what I meant. I was talking to my grandmother today, who is the better part of 80 and change. And to hear her talk about how we have 14 and 15-year-olds out here, committing murders and getting murdered at a higher rate than, when I was that age. In the area that I grew up, it's like, like for what and why? The homie Wallow, Gilly's cousin, I believe, has a clip. I can't remember whose podcast he was on, but he was talking about how one of the OGs in the jail was talking to him about time, and basically how you know, the amount of time he spent doing his crime and how it equated to the amount of time he had to spend in jail. And basically, you know, he had two crimes for a total of like 5 minutes. There's like a 2 minutes, 50 seconds, 2 minutes, 30 seconds apiece. 5 minutes in total. Those 5 minutes of actual time behavior equated to him getting a sentence of 20 years. I was talking to my grandmother, and I was like, you know, if we look at why these kids are getting murdered, like what's the purpose behind it or cause behind it. Um, Kid stepped on my shoes, and I got a scuff on my $220 pair of shoes. Not that the shoes were ruined, just got a scuff on them. For the sake of argument, let's say the shoes are ruined, completely done. You gotta get a new pair of shoes. So $220. So you're saying that a young black boy's life is only worth $220. Judging by the way our children conduct themselves and have little regard for themselves or anyone else, I almost don't even want to say it, but since it's a true statement, it is what it is, right? So that kid who's getting murdered over a $220 pair of shoes, right? His body, his remaining body, corpse, is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So just in case anybody's wondering why there's not like a national outcry for something to be done for these black boys who are being killed, these black girls and boys who are being kidnapped and never to be seen again or found with missing organs. If y'all ever wonder why something's not happening, one, it's not happening because we're not doing enough. I'm not going to say we're not doing anything. We're not doing enough. And two, there's way more money to be made in our malicious, maladaptive behavior than it would be for our appropriate, adaptive, well-adjusted behavior. Because we're putting ourselves in these boxes, literally and figuratively. Again, you know, kidneys are worth thousands of dollars, you know what I'm saying? Hearts, lungs, so on and so forth. So if this kid is going to kill this kid for $50 he may own for a pair of shoes that he wanted, for a jacket, or because you disrespected me, or to steal a cell phone, there's so many lives that are affected. Not just the kid who gets killed, but the person or persons who did the killing, their families, the generations that would have been offspring of the one who got murdered as well as the one who did the murder. There's such a effect that I don't feel gets focused on enough, and we're losing, possibly some brilliant minds before they've had a chance to develop and really give the world what they were here for. And we got to do something about that. Black men, especially. Like, like it or not, we're in the position that we're in. We can't be kings without taking on the responsibility that comes with it. Like, that's just how that goes, man. In the same way I was talking about ladies, and women being ladies, like, we really have to get back to what it means to be a gentleman. Like, are we giving that to our youth? Do they know what a gentleman is? Is it the only gentleman they know a gentleman's club? Like, that's a thing. It should be a thing. You know, our kids should know more about man and manhood than just, again, how many women we have or how much money we have. Very minute things in the bigger scheme of what it means to be a true man, a dear man, let alone a gentleman. And I feel like we got to do better. Um, I'm working on some things. Definitely took some time off those last couple of weeks in December. I feel like I'm going back on track and going in the right direction. We'll see what happens. Uh, I definitely wish the best and hope the best for our people. There are times where I'm extremely heartbroken and heartfelt because I feel like we lose so many, right? We lose so many children, we lose so many to juvenile systems, to jail, to graveyards. And we have so many parents who really don't know what to do or what to say or how to communicate and get through to their child. Those of us who can, we have to. We can't just take care of our home and be like, okay, well, I did my job. We got so much more to do, man. So I think this year is going to be extremely telling. And it's going to show quite a bit. I'm looking forward to it.